What is up, YouTube, and welcome to this Sweet Home Season Review breakdown and ending explained. Boy, was this a savage show filled with violence, and on my Discord we were dumbfounded that this was only a 15 in the UK when it was full of violence, gore, and very adult themes. And really, I'm not offended by that. I'm more offended by the liberal use of Warrior by Imagine Dragons, an absolute bedwetter band. Now, I enjoyed it, but I did feel the cast was just a bit too large with a lot of the characters in the show, and I do feel like some of the regional references did go over my head a bit, but I did enjoy the mystery of the show. There will be spoilers in this video, so please do drop a like down below and subscribe with notifications on so you never miss a video. We open in September 2020 in a ravaged world, and soldiers arrive at a tower block as we see some monsters. This scene did remind me of that Resident Evil movie where the zombies surrounded the White House as the crew met Wesker. Now we see a guy stumbling all monsterfied and walking towards the soldiers, only for him to be shot, as we flash back to a time when it was actually nice around there. Now, Hyun-soo arrives at a tower block, and that is the same kid who was being shot, and we know he is here as a last resort as his family died and he's intent on killing himself as he's stopped by a ballerina on the roof, but only because it would just cause too much trouble for everyone. We meet the people of Green Home, which is just full of weirdos, eccentrics, and just horrible people. One of the security guards is berated for having a bed in his office and is given some fish that seems to trigger his mutation into a monster. However, we never actually found out what the cause of the mutations it was. It seems like it was a virus, but it's hinted later it might be a curse on humanity and is triggered by human desires. Hyun-soo is seen to have actually keep repressing his suicidal thoughts, and it runs in tandem with him suppressing this sort of curse. Now, he expects a delivery, but he finds blood all over it and sees his neighbour has succumbed to this mystery illness as he's playing games. This causes eyes to go really black and nose to bleed and weird mutations. Now, downstairs we actually see the survivors mill about as they seem worried and scared as these monsters seem to appear in the building, and they just get even more scared as time goes by. Now, So Yi-kung helps to try and break into the office as they try and reach to authorities, and, well, outside absolutely descends into chaos. And monsters attack, and they seem to want protein. As we move on and we learn that Hyun-soo's family passed away in a car crash and he was not left enough money to live on. He's angry as he was a self-harming recluse and now has to go outside into the world. He seems to be infected as he ended the last episode with a nosebleed, and he heads online and finds people are calling it a curse. Now, Soo-young and Yi-kyung move the dead body from a hallway as they work their way through the building, and a message goes round to everyone informing them of what has happened. Now, Lee has become the sort of de facto leader as a giant eyeball monster attacks the block as a man with kids tries to abseil down and dies as a guy called Do-sik, a technical genius, helps sever the monster. Now, Hyun-soo is then offered to help the kids as he also kills a weird gremlin monster in his way. Now, he makes it to the kids, but his eyes go all black, and he has the blackened eyes as a monster shows up to attack them. Now, Jisoo and Jae-hoon arrive to help, but they see his blackened eyes as the kids all rush to 1408, which is where Do-sik actually is. They all manage to distract it as they head there, while Sang-wook has a bite and has been kept prisoner as the supermarket owner locks himself inside, as Lee tells everyone to come to the first floor as one of the residents' daughter is killed as she had just tried to get home. Now, the survivors who made it to room 1408 leave with makeshift barriers to try and make it to floor 1, and it seems a bit odd they've tried to split up. But we finally get a news report as sirens go off, and it confirms that the security will be in charge, and the military are also in charge as well, and the military say how the creatures can regenerate but can be killed by being incinerated, and there is a golden hour to kill them. Now Heinz-Su finally makes it downstairs, and the owner of the supermarket wants him gone, as he is also infected, but they vote to let him live or not. But the vote becomes invalid, and the supermarket owner also gets infected, probably due to his desires of being a horrible little man. However, Lee decides that he will make Heinz-Su do the dangerous work, which includes saving Do-Sik and getting him out from his apartment with the children. Now, they also allow Sang-Wook to go, is a mysterious person after kidnapping someone at the start of the show. Now, he's kind of like the strong, silent type and the real tough guy of the whole show, but he's also been bitten, and they think it's transferred by bites, which, yeah, they still don't know yet, but they go and try and go through the building as they get attacked by a monster. Now, Yuri and her patient actually help them as Sang-Wook heads to the room he wanted to get to, and we learn the man that he kidnapped, who has been let free downstairs, was a disgusting child kidnapper, and we actually learn that he was given 11 months for something that he did a while back. And later on, Wook was hired by a man to save his daughter, and Sang-Wook is then able to capture this man and murder him, but he's caught by the survivors while he does this. Now, Heinz-Su actually makes it to 1408, and there is a sack or a cocoon in the room, but not really anything comes of this. It's a bit weird that they did this, and I do feel like there is a lot going on by now. There is just so much going on to keep track of. There is probably like 10 different backstories and current stories to keep up with. We learn of Ji Kyung's backstory. She's the badass who went downstairs to the basement, and her fiance was a chief physician, and he was killed in a fire, but he was the first one to notice the issue with the mutations and viruses, being the one who wrote the blog that Heinz-Su and Lee actually found. Now, she heads there in present day, but she is actually surrounded by soldiers. They question her as she tries to make a bargain with them and says that she can show them who actually resisted being a monster. Of course, that is Heinz-Su as well. So, however, he is also succumbing to the infection as the residents are under attack and think about maybe going out for some supplies as they are really, really struggling by now. It's been quite a few days since they've started their isolation in this building. Heinz-Su works to save the survivors, and Ji-Kyung is let go and told that people who survive the infection are special infectees. Heinz-Su says that he will go outside to get supplies, but he's knocked down by a ridiculously large monster. Thankfully, Ji-Kyung arrives and crashes a huge fire truck into the monster and manages to keep ramming it against all odds and kills it. Now, supplies are handed out from the truck, and she was given a tracker and instructed to bring Heinz-Su to them as he's the key to survival. Now, a soldier has made it into the building, but they decide to turn off their SOS kind of alarm, and the survivors plan to head downstairs, but Ji-Kyung is tempted to use her tracker as a truck arrives at the apartment block, and soldiers and criminals arrive, and they want to really absolutely cause chaos and take over this. Now, a lot of commotion actually happens as one of the criminals was experimented on as they tried to remove what was causing the mutation in the past, only for it to not work, and it seemed to be ingrained in human nature. They find out that the military are actually going to kill everyone, human and monster, which doesn't seem very smart as they will have to kill themselves too. Yeah, it's a bit weird here. And I will admit that the subtitles and the actual dubbing didn't actually match on the UK version, which I don't really understand why. So there might be some changes here, and do let me know in the comments what you thought of the show. Now, Lee wonders whether he should actually sell out Heinz-Su, but he's shown the tracker as the army arrive at the apartment block. Now, we're back to the start, at least just before the start, when we saw Heinz-Su getting shot, but he heads out to sacrifice himself as the others have found a proper underground bunker to head to, And Lee also sacrifices himself in a tender moment as the survivors work their way out of the underground bunker and make it out into a different place. But they're actually confronted by the army and taken to a survivor camp there. Now we then cut to Hyeon Soo, who was kept alive, which is crazy, and was actually in a truck being driven by none other than Sang-wook. So the guy who was actually, I would say, had the biggest redemption. We thought he was evil at the start, but it turns out that he was scorned by this horrible man who he kidnapped and then murdered. So it's a huge cliffhanger there. We didn't really get much out of the show. We didn't really learn anything, unfortunately. So the question is Sang-wook working for the military? Has he killed the military and managed to actually get this truck? It does remain to be seen. And he did say earlier he wasn't actually in the military and he kept his gun on safety. So it's going to be weird to see where they go next with this. I enjoyed it, but again, like I said, it just felt a bit too busy at times. There was far too much going on, and I do feel like it kind of dragged out a bit as we had the different lives and the people in the building. But again, it's a different culture, so I would be interested to see what you think of this. Personally, I think it would have been better about 6 or 8 episodes instead of a 10 one-hour series. But I'd love to hear what you think down below, so do drop a like, do subscribe with notifications on, and I will tomorrow be bringing you a Midnight Sky video. No, I'm not reacting to Miley Cyrus. It's the new George Clooney film, which, TLDR, is absolutely freaking brilliant. But I will see you tomorrow, I'll see you soon, and goodbye.